Blog Talk Radio.
Alternative facts.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. At 12:07 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, numerous unidentified objects of unknown intent and unknown origin were detected at high altitudes over multiple locations of Earth's outer space by the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, and these objects are presumed to be some form of controlled aircraft. It is not known if more of these aircraft will arrive, or if they will attempt entering Earth's atmosphere. United States citizens are encouraged to monitor local media outlets, as more updates will follow as information becomes available. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. Attacks by the undead have been reported in several states across the country. The dead are rising from their graves and are attacking the human race. At this time, it is expected that more attacks of this nature will occur in several other states in the next few hours. The intent behind their attack is unknown at this time. He has been observed that a byte-or exchange of fluids is a method of transmission. This is an extremely dangerous situation if they crave the taste of human flesh. It is not known whether this event will last for hours, days, or even longer. Stay calm, as authorities have been dispatched to deal with these creatures. An all-clear siren will be sounded when this situation is under control. Pacific Standard Time, nor is detected a long-range nuclear missile launcher. This missile is believed to be headed in the direction of all residents within a 400-mile radius of this area should seek a fallout shelter immediately.
Welcome to Within the Chaos with your host, Rodney the Viking Shortridge, co-host, Melinda the Raven Jackson. Want to give a big old shout out to the Facebook paranormal groups that allow us to post our shows on their pages and helping us to get the word out about all of our guests. Also, a shout out to the Connor sisters. Hats off to Misty and Ashley. They are the founders of SOS Sisters of Salem Paranormal Research Society and host of their podcast, Paranormal Party. You can find them on Facebook under Paranormal Party. If anyone would like to speak to Black Diamond Paranormal Society, BDPS, to discuss your paranormal questions or issues, go to our website at blackdiamondps.org or email blackdiamondps@yahoo.com. As always, our services are free.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. You can listen in by calling 516-387-1922, or you can go to the Vibe Radio Network website at blogtalkradio.com/Vibe Radio Network. For deep within the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for listening to Within the Chaos. My name is Rodney Shortridge, and I'll be your host tonight, along with my beautiful Raven, Melinda Jackson. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to my cousins up in Ohio, Jennifer and Joe Shortridge of 222 Paranormal. If you get a chance, check out their talk show. You can find them on Facebook under 222 Paranormal.
Have your devices just randomly stopped working? Are you having IT trouble? Not to worry, Mead's PC Repair Shop can help. We also offer IT support too, including website hosting. We are now also offering full event management services. To find out more, contact our friendly customer service team who will gladly help in any situation. Just call 276-880-8900, or if you prefer, you can stop by our shop at 1089 St. Clair Street, Oakwood, Virginia, 24631 by appointment only, or by visiting the website at meadspcshop.com for more information. Thank you.
Well, howdy everybody. Tonight our guest is Erica Lukes. Erica is a UFO researcher, artist, professional vocalist, and host of her groundbreaking radio show, UFO Classified. She has a passion for the subject of unidentified flying objects and the paranormal that dates to her early childhood. After a series of paranormal experiences and UFO sightings, Erica felt compelled to research what was taking place not only in her home state of Utah, but all over the globe. First off, I'd like to wish my granddaughter, Malia Shortridge, a.k.a. Half Pint, a very happy 8th birthday tomorrow. Papa loves my little sweetheart. So now, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. If I can get that clicked over. There we go. It's my honor to welcome back to the show Erica Lukes. Erica, thank you so much for coming back, and it's an honor to have you on. Okay, hello? Maybe that didn't work. Let me try to click it again. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
That is, well, praise the Lord. I'm telling you, technology is something.
It's kind of sneaky how you did it.
I know. Look, I was totally on the down low. I had that planned all along, so that's good.
Well, it was. It's kind of like you snuck in and went, hello, anybody there? Hi.
No, nobody's here. It's
nobody's
official.
here. Bye, no.
It's nice to be back.
Oh, thank you for coming back. You would believe all the people around in my area that is just crazy about you.
Oh, that makes me so happy. That's good. I love it. I have no idea, how many people follow my work or things, but I just know that I feel so blessed and honored when 5 people, 10 people listen to my show and they get it and they're supportive and they want to make a difference in this, because we're truly living in a very pivotal time right now, and it's going to be up to each of us to make really good decisions and get good information and continue the work forward of so many brave men and women who've sacrificed a lot for us to be here.
I agree. But yeah, when I was posting up for your show, I got flooded by people in my area, ask her this question or ask her this question. Oh my God, are you serious? You're really going to have Erica Lukes on the show again? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm like the biggest fan. Oh, please tell her about me.
That's so awesome. Oh, thank you. That really makes me happy, because sometimes it's such an interesting job to do, and you feel isolated except for the few people that you talk to and things, and so to know that there's that support really means a lot to me.
Oh, it's huge here, because I started last year a Phantom Fest, and I've tried to work it out with all genres instead of just focusing like on just the paranormal. I went into like crypto and UFO and anything that people are really interested in. a lot of the people that I've spoken to, trying to draw the UFO people in this area has been quite hard. I think I've got 2 is actually going to come and speak, but all the other genres, no trouble. It's just UFO people have a hard time getting to Virginia. I don't know why.
Oh, I think it would be fun to come there. We could cause a ruckus. That'd be fun.
You walk in and be like, let's see, who got that? Like, let me see. Gotta think of somebody. Michelle Obama. It'd be like Michelle Obama walking in.
Wow. Well, I wish I had her design, her wardrobe and entourage. But hey, that's okay. That honestly, that means a lot to me because I love getting out and meeting people and knowing that people are out doing the same thing that I'm doing and that they care about the integrity of the subject. Because to me, this has been the most fascinating and harrowing ride of my life to get into this publicly and to try to figure out what's going on and then to overcome some of these obstacles that are continually being thrown at me. So I love it. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome, and I thank all the listeners that listen to the show and listen to all the different topics, and especially anything about UFOs. Everybody around here is crazy about it. I just don't think, and I agree with a lot of the people around here. It's they see things that they can't explain and have these experiences, but they really don't have no one in our area that's close that you could really talk to about the UFO phenomenon, and I think they feel kind of like, well, we've got Mothman up here in West Virginia, and we got the Boogie Woogie monster down here in Tennessee, and they kind of feel like they're left out.
Well, and that's the thing, and honestly, and nobody would ever think this, but when I first started really digging into research here in Utah, I felt the same way. I was absolutely stunned to see the lack of community, the lack of response or interest in people, especially when we're 80 miles away from Dugway Proving Ground, when we're I'm 2 hours away from Skinwalker Ranch, and there was virtually nobody to turn to. And, I became MUFON state director and again was absolutely shocked at the lack of information and people submitting reports. But it's just getting the word out and also finding trusted people that actually have integrity and want to see this, want to see good education out there because it's all connected, and you mentioned the Mothman and some of these strange creatures. I was up near Skinwalker Ranch about 6 months ago, and I interviewed the legendary and one of the most important people in Utah, in my opinion, Junior Hicks, who was a science teacher up in Roosevelt, Utah, and he started investigating UFOs back in the 60s, wrote a groundbreaking book called The Utah UFO Display with Dr. Frank Salisbury, and they basically took the Uinta Basin, where Skinwalker Ranch is, and they put it on the map. And when I interviewed him, he told me about a case that he had investigated. He was called on. There were a few workers. They were in a pickup truck. They were driving in tribal land at night, and they looked out the window, and there was a winged creature with glowing red eyes and horns coming out, and it reached into the car, grabbed the driver, threw him out of the car, and the man was injured. I mean, he had claw marks, but he'd snapped off a couple pictures, according to Junior Hicks, before he got pulled out of the car, and then the people in the car grabbed him, pulled him back in, and then they started driving, and they went by tribal police and said, "We need help. Our friend is badly injured," and the tribal police said, "Keep driving. We're not touching this," because They thought it was a skinwalker, some type of creature. They weren't going to do it. The people drove home. They got their friend help. They called in a local medicine man and Junior, and they all met at the house, calmed this man down, tried to address his injuries, and then the medicine man did what he needed to do to protect this person, and he said, if you've got any photographs, you need to destroy them immediately, or this will have a very insidious effect on your life. And he did that, and that was to hear Junior talk about that and the profound effect that had on the people in the truck and Junior, and the fact that these types of things allegedly happen, I believe they happen in areas all over the world. And so we need to understand that we can't put things in a box. This isn't just about UFOs. This isn't the paranormal. This isn't, cryptozoology. This is all intersecting. And we need to understand that and work together as different communities to try to solve this puzzle.
And you brought up a good point there. Where I researched paranormal, they've been cases that I've been on that we've got evidence of things that I wouldn't call it paranormal. One time we were walking in a park and recording, and you can hear me and the guy talking. We're walking on woods and weeds, and then we walked on a path, and you could hear our steps on the path. And then for about 20 seconds, it sounded like we went from the woods into like a huge hangar that has a metal catwalk, and we're actually walking on it, and you could hear the echoing for like 20 seconds. And then we go back into the wooded area. And when I heard that, I asked, I played it to Mike. I said, did you feel anything or sense anything when we were there? He's like, no. I said, how is this possible? So, I do think that a lot of it ties in together, and how it ties in together, I have no idea.
And that's the $1 million question. I don't think any of us know that, and it has been such a trip for me to really get down and research all of this and to try to make contacts in the community and to make people feel safe. Up in the Uinta Basin, people have had such profound experiences, and then you've got the skinwalker conspiracies that have come out, and it's the government, and people are very closed off, so it takes a lot of work to get information. And I just have to say, if it wasn't for Junior Hicks and Dr. Frank Salisbury, we would know nothing about this area. I mean, Skinwalker Ranch wouldn't even be on the map. So if people did that, if we had one person in each area that had the dedication and perseverance, and they got in there and connected with the community and started doing this and working with the local police departments, it would be fantastic. And then we could get those archives together and share them publicly, which is something, unfortunately, we don't see in this field. MUFON. Just had to throw that in there. And, and so this it's critical. We've got to work together. We've got to quit hoarding data, making money off of it, and like I said at the beginning of the show, this is really, really important to me. We are standing on the edge of a black abyss, and we are 2 seconds away from people like secret space program, whatever, absolute nonsense. And I'm trying to use very nice words here. Things like that, people that have learned how to manipulate YouTube, that are making a great deal of money going to different conferences and selling absolute garbage. And then the good historical research that we've seen done by Barry Greenwood, who is my mentor and absolute hero, Jan Aldrich from Project 1947, Gordon Lohr, who was with NICAP, who I'm currently writing a book with that will be incredible. I mean, all of these people, Dr. James McDonald, people that sacrificed, went out and put their careers out there and suffered a tremendous amount to do the right thing, to get this taken seriously. And I just think that we owe them a huge debt of gratitude, and we have to preserve their integrity, and we have to move forward and understand that social media is manipulated. We need to be smart. We need to turn to good sources, and we can do this. We have to. I mean, honestly, we have no choice.
No, I agree. Well, I
How
can
was
tell
that
you
for
right.
a little? I was just so excited right there.
Oh man, you knocked that one right out of the ballpark.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You go, girl. I told you. I got your hand. I got it. You got it.
I love it. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you, most of the questions I have tonight are from listeners. So I couldn't believe the response. Normally, I have a few that will send me, 4 or 5 questions, but wow, I can just tell you right now, I will not be able to ask you all these questions in one setting. So,
Well, you know what? I mean, Ted, ask people, please send them, to my Facebook page, UFO Classified, and have people ask me questions. I'm there, and I'll do my best to try to answer them, and just get, I'm here, and I love the fact that people want to interact, and like I said, I've said this a million times, that it really means the world to me, and that's why I'm here.
Okay. Well, with that being said, I'll start off with one. Like I said, I got so many, so I'll start off with the first one. What types of UFOs has your research found in the U.S. and around the world?
So my specialty is they are lights in the sky. And when I first had my experiences, I saw amber orange spheres hovering above the Ochre Mountains here in Utah. And I knew that it was unusual. I began to ask questions. I began to do research. And as I assumed the position of the state director for Utah, I went in and looked at case after case from all over the country. And I noticed that field investigators and state directors were dismissing lights in the sky cases. And yes, people make a lot of mistakes. People need to learn how, and this is a fun, empowering thing, to educate people on how to identify mundane objects. But I also noticed that investigators were closing out cases saying that, oh, it was a Chinese lantern, when clearly they just kind of made that up, because these objects were behaving in ways that Chinese lanterns absolutely couldn't behave. And so I started researching specific areas, and I quickly got frustrated with that. I found some people that I gravitated towards. I gravitated towards Ted Rowe, who is the executive director of NARCAP, and they've done very important work with regard to commercial and military pilot sightings. They wrote a research paper called Project Sphere, which is important. And I also met Erling Strand, who is one of the lead researchers over in Norway, and he has been for 35 years, along with his colleagues, conducted the most important scientific study with regard to anomalous light phenomena, lights in the sky that are so easily dismissed. And he and the team, along with the leading scientists in Europe, have identified 4 different types of light phenomena that behaves intelligently, or as if it is intelligently controlled. And this is huge, and we don't hear anything about it in the U.S. because we're lazy. We don't want to look around and understand that this is taking place. We need to take it seriously. So that's, the lights in the sky, the anomalous phenomena that we see in the Yakima Indian Reservation, that we see, there was a great study done by James Bunnell in Marfa, Texas, and he's an important researcher. We see places in Piedmont, Missouri, places in Skinwalker Ranch, the Uinta Basin, all over the world, and it's amazing. I love it. So please, if you're a researcher or you're looking at this, don't dismiss lights in the sky cases. It's the most important thing we've got going on.
Okay.
And I'll try to shorten my answers next time.
No, that's fine. Hey, you're doing a good job. Doing a great job. Now this one, I know you mentioned MUFON, so this question is from someone that wanted to know what happened to MUFON and all the controversy that was going on.
Well, I think MUFON has been fraught with controversy for quite some time. I have had a number of people that have been involved in the organization over the past few decades that have been on my show that have resigned or been pushed out, who've contributed a great deal to the organization, collecting data, raising money, and they've not been treated with the respect that they deserve. And when I was state director, I had there were a handful of people involved in the organization that were very ego-driven, and they were determined to do whatever it took to push me out of the way, to discredit one of the most important radar cases we've seen in the past 10 years, which is the American Airlines Flight 434 case that I did at the time with my assistant state director, Jeff Cox. And I was stunned at the way I was treated. I was stunned at the way when I went to the executive director, Jan Harzan, about being stalked and harassed and having some serious safety concerns. I was shocked at how they dismissed that, but not only that, I was shocked that a group of people used some of these things to discredit me. And these people now are finally getting outed. But there's a long-standing practice of looking the other way in MUFON and allowing kind of a mob-like mentality to get in there and really hurt people. And I will say this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I have never met such incredible people as I have with some of the people that are involved in this organization, and I support them as researchers and investigators, and I love and support the fact that they're educating people and making people feel safe. But at some point in time, when your organization is run like a mob, when people are being discredited, when illegal activity is taking place, which recently has just happened with the director of investigations who just stepped down. She was threatening people, slandering people. We've got this written where she was trying to use her husband's military clearance to take somebody else's clearance, security clearance away, who worked for a contractor, and also was going to different media production companies to tell them not to hire certain people because she didn't like them. And that's the kind of crap that takes place that nobody needs to deal with. And until MUFON leadership is willing to stand up and do the right thing for the sake of this subject and for the sake of the good people that are putting their time and money into it, we're going to continually see the decline of a battered and discredited organization.
Wow, that's sad and wrong.
You know what it is? When I joined MUFON, I was so excited, and I thought I could change the world. And like I said, I met people like Ruben Uriarte, who I have the utmost respect for. I met Bill Weber, who's a state director back east. Bill Konkoleski. I mean, it's Craig Lang, who did a tremendous job with abduction research and was very, very dear to me and passed away recently. And I still I can't even talk about that without tearing up because he really meant a lot to me. But, you know, there are people who have the biggest hearts, and they take time away from their families, and they dedicate money, and are often ridiculed by society, and they deserve the best. And I love and support them, and I want to see them succeed. But I just think MUFON needs to be dismantled from the top down, and leaders need to be held accountable for their lack of action and really pretty disgusting behavior with regard to people.
You know, it seems like a common theme here lately of leadership, just all the controversy with all our leadership, no matter whether it's an organization all the way to the top.
You know, it is, and I think because, you know, this is, you know, there are no professional standards. I mean, we're getting into this, and I'm not a scientist. I'm an artist. I'm a business owner, and so for me to get into this and try to look to others to teach me and it was a difficult process, and because it is such a fringe topic, it attracts people that that might have mental health issues, or people worse than that need an ego fix and are willing to do what it takes to push agendas that are religious and political, which is wrong. This should be about research, unbiased, and to also stay relevant on the lecture circuit. And I will say that when I came into this, the people that I held in high regard, I have absolutely no respect for today.
I know that. I'm sorry about that. And it seems like it's not just with MUFON. It's just like in the paranormal world. Everybody's just ripping at everybody's heart and throat and drama. And I'm one of these people. I get away from the drama. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to. This is what we do. This is what I find. I lay it out there. And if people want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. If people want to try to rip it apart. But, we don't need all this infighting and people trying to make money off of something where, like you said, you got some researchers that are just struggling or people that are looking into investigating. And then once they're gone, everybody just, I don't know. It just this topic makes me angry because I'm trying to be nice too, without saying, y'all kiss my ass,
Well, but and I will say that I had rose-colored glasses on when I got into this, and I was just like, oh, we're doing this together, yay, let's do it. And it was like, okay, that took me about 10 minutes to figure out, whoa, nope, we're not. And that was sad. And so I was really fortunate that I found a group of people that could mentor me, that could teach me to stand up and to call absolute garbage out, because we need that. I remember having a conversation with Richard Dolan very early on in my public life with this, and I said, Richard, how are we going to make this field better? What are we going to do so people feel protected? And he just said, nothing. It's the way it's always been. It's the way it's always going to be. And I thought, wow, I'm so not that person. I'm not going to settle for that. And so I have much to my mental health and physical health sometimes, I made the decision that I was going to speak out, to try to get the truth out there for the sake of everybody involved. And I don't relish the drama, but right now I'm in the middle of it, and I'm going to do what it takes to stand up and expose corrupt practices and make this field a better place.
Well, fight on.
Baby.
You need any damn paranormal help, I got you back, girl. I got you back.
Yeah, but when I've heard, the paranormal, I mean, all of these fields are so, it's like the Wild West, and people say, ufology is like a circus, and I've been contemplating and having deep thoughts about that. And I mean, honestly, people that are performing in the circus are very talented and skilled people that have integrity and a work ethic, and so I think calling ufology a circus is we need to call it the kind of the dregs of humanity with regard to the people who are currently at the top of the field. But that's okay. We can do it. We're going to do good things with all of this, all of the negativity and things that are coming to the surface. We can do this, and we can move research forward and empower people.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. One listener wants to know, what is Project Orange? So
Project Orange was started when I was state director for MUFON, and I was looking through the database and seeing that there were these lights in the sky cases, and I was incredibly frustrated because nobody else was taking it seriously. And I would reach out to different field investigators and different state directors, and they would just kind of shrug and, okay, lights in the sky, girl, do your thing. And I knew that there was something important, and so I found Terry Ray, who wrote a great book on orange orbs, and I also found Robert Spearing, who was honestly one of, I think he's an unsung hero. I really have a lot of respect for Robert Spearing, and we started going through the database. Robert did a tremendous job analyzing cases, and we were trying to identify if there were any patterns in the sightings, and that was, we gave it a go. We did our best. I will say at that point in time, Jan Harzan was very supportive, and he asked for different state directors to reach out to us, and really none of them did. But that was that was Project Orange, and it was a great attempt to do something that is important, and if we could do that again, it would be wonderful.
Okay. A listener wants to know, what are your thoughts on animal mutilations, and have they been documented? Could they possibly be alien related?
Animal mutilations, it's an interesting topic. We've had a lot in Utah, and I have a great case about this. I just think it's fascinating. It's kind of my journey into trying to deal with this. But back in 2014, on October 2nd to be exact, there was a daylight sighting, a mass daytime sighting that took place over the Salt Lake Valley, and people were seeing spherical objects, white kind of, by some descriptions, metallic. These objects were hovering in place. There were 5 to 7 of them. They were stationary for upwards of an hour, and then they moved in conjunction, and there were reports of military craft seen really kind of pacing these objects. And so I got a call from the news station, and they said, hey, can you give us a comment? We're getting all these where everything's being flooded. What can you tell us? And so I got in and started reaching out to everybody on social media. Hey, call me, getting as much information as I could. And I knew because the witnesses were stunned. There were a lot of great pictures coming in. It was a daytime sighting. The objects were behaving very unusually, and the objects were seen over the National Security Agency, the NSA, which we've got the big data hub here, and that is some of the most restricted airspace in the world. And so I knew, well, we've got a winner here. And right in that same week period, I also found out that there were cattle mutilations along the same kind of trajectory of where these objects were seen. So these objects were seen in Utah, and then the next day they were seen in Breckenridge, Colorado, and in different parts of Colorado. That made international news. There was a reporter there by the name of Matt Renault who did a pretty groundbreaking, and you can still find it on YouTube, a story about the sightings, and they were calling NORAD. There were police, people in the police department that were witnessing these objects. It was a very profound couple of days of sightings. And with the cattle mutilations also, it was curious, the timing of that. I had somebody in the police department that gave me the case files, and this is kind of a funny story about the mutilations that occurred in the same time frame, and I had reached out to the local sheriff's department. They were stunned at what was taking place and very concerned. In the police report, they actually mentioned the fact that they were going to call Linda Moulton Howe, and so whatever that means, it means I won't ever hear about that again. But so that was very curious. But when I started digging into the cattle mutilations here in Utah, I found out that the Utah State Veterinary had been taking all of these bodies for quite a long period of time, and they'd been taking it up to Utah State University and doing testing up there. And I reached out to the Utah State Vet, and of course was completely stonewalled. But that was an interesting thing to coordinate with this mass sighting, which I did do radar. I did a FOIA for radar returns, and the whole thing was so interesting. And it was also interesting, and I just have to say this because I get so excited about this case that more people need to hear about. But when I was really digging into this and reaching out to MUFON members in Colorado, I found one fellow over there, and we were talking about the fact that these objects did not have, you couldn't get any transponder data. The things that some of the people over in Colorado, the veteran investigators, wanted to write this off as Google loon balloons, and they did that, and so did Roger Marsh, the biggest mass daytime sighting in years, and MUFON is writing it off as Google loon balloons, and I was like, holy crap, really? And so I did extensive research and found out that yes, they were not doing Google loon testing. Google loon balloons don't behave like that. They weren't launching 5 to 7 at a time. And when I got the radar reports back with the help of Robert Powell, who I really have a lot of respect for, the first time we got the radar report back and we tried to analyze it, we couldn't make sense of it. So I sent back another request to the FAA for radar returns. We got back something, again, that was unreadable, but a couple years after the fact, we reached out to a really wonderful person who looked at it and did identify, through all the noise, the fact that there were F-16s seen in the area, a lot of them where the sightings took place, so we knew that there was some military action going on, and my guess is they were trying to observe what was taking place. So cattle mutilations, mass daytime sightings, it was really a trip, and it was so much fun to investigate.
Oh, I bet. My gosh. What it is, they like steak just like we do. That's all it is.
Oh, you know what? Tomorrow I'm not going to eat hamburgers. I'll go 24 hours.
Okay.
Here's a little funny story for you. I have a family up in the Uinta Basin, and they've 3 generations. The grandmother's passed away, but I have interviewed them for years and have really incredible. They've been on my radio show. Have great footage of them, and they were talking about a time when Skinwalker Ranch, they were seeing all these cattle mutilations, and they mentioned that one of the people that was working at Skinwalker Ranch took one of the mutilated carcasses off, and then they all served up the meat and said it tasted pretty disgusting.
Oh. Man, you just had to run hamburgers for me too.
I know. Sorry. When she told me that, it was a little disturbing, but I guess I don't know.
That's that roadkill special shit that goes on around here. Oh Lord, no. Oh.
Yeah, no, not working for me so much, but
yeah, it's not working for me either. Oh no, I cannot sit there and go, well, let's just fry her up. No, I'm good. Mm-hmm.
Nope, me too. Yeah.
I'll be over here eating a chicken. I'm good.
Well, yeah. So anyway, that was just like a funny little story. I wanted to share that with you and maybe gross everybody out for a moment.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of them sitting there going, oh, Rod, oh. Why did she have to say that? I don't know, people. I didn't make her do it.
I know. Sometimes it's just the way I roll. I like to keep everybody on their toes.
That's right. Okay, let's get off that subject now. One listener wants to know, what is your opinion about alien abduction?
You know, I Dr. John Mack sure did an incredible job researching that, and there is something very real taking place. It is incredible. How do you begin to really research this? How do you begin to separate people's imagination from real abductions? Are there military abductions? There's so much there, and it is a really gray area. And I will say that for a time I was working with Kathleen Martin on the Experiencer research team, and that taught me a lot. It wasn't an area that I necessarily felt I wanted to focus on, but there is genuinely something going on. Craig, like I mentioned, Craig Lang, who did abduction research. I mean, he would share information with me and about his research, and it's very profound, and it is incredibly traumatizing to people. Free has done a wonderful book, and I wish I could remember the name of it. Ray Hernandez has done a pretty in-depth study on this, and the book, and I'll have to look at it and try to give that information out. But it was really an in-depth study on experiencers. But again, people have different viewpoints. Ray Hernandez believes the research is showing that they've done that these are positive experiences. There are researchers that believe it is very negative, and so it runs the whole gamut. For me personally, I know that I've had a lifetime full of experiences. I don't remember necessarily having a physical abduction, but I've had experiences. Do I feel it was negative? I don't. I feel that it has put me on this path, and I think it deserves to be really studied.
I agree. Well, another one wants to know, if they're coming to Earth and have been to Earth, what is your opinion as to why they come here? I guess they're talking about aliens.
Oh, here's something that I've been trying to wrap my mind around. I don't know necessarily if this is extraterrestrial. I don't know if this is interdimensional, ultra-terrestrial. I don't have a clue. Sometimes when I look back at the way this subject has been manipulated from the late 40s on.
Oh, okay. Next question is, where is the hot spots across the world for UFO activity and claims of abductees and cattle mutilation? Hello? Are you there? Eric, I lost you. Okay, people, give me a second. She'll call right back. She's on Skype call, I think. Until then, I thought she was done with her answer. I'm sure she probably had a little bit more to add to that. Must have dropped the call. Let me see here. Yeah, I will send her a message. Please, if I can type, call back. Oh, I got to laugh about it though. Yeah, I always have trouble.
Wow, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Wow, that was just very strange. My whole computer shut down.
Your whole computer?
So the whole computer. I just heard this loud static, and the whole thing shut down. And I will throw this out there. This is really interesting. A couple days ago, I got an email allegedly from Roger Marsh, but it wasn't. And somebody was trying to, do something naughty to my computer, so I have no clue what's going on. But that was interesting. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for being here for that.
Yes, thank you all for listening. This happens to quite a few of my guests. Will be speaking, or they'll be speaking, and all of a sudden just dead. And either something happened to their cell phone, or their landline, or their computer, and they're like, "What are you doing, Rodney?" I'm like, "I'm not doing anything."
Yeah, you know what? I will tell you that I've got an iMac that is a year old, and I just literally heard a huge kind of a static something, and everything just went dead. That was a trip.
They're trying to hide the truth.
Well, they're naughty, aren't they?
They are naughty, and most of them don't even know what the truth is if it hit them in the face.
No, it's all about public perception and manipulation and control systems.
That's right. I've always been waiting for the black cars to show up in my house. I'll be like, "I'm just going Appalachian Mountains, man. I'm a country boy. I ain't smart enough. I'm not."
Well, it's you certainly do hear interesting things. I had a 48-hour period that was pretty harrowing with regard to that. So I can tell you, pay attention to this. I'm not sure. I think there are different factions out there that have different agendas and things, but it's and I think it happens pretty. You have to be digging into some stuff, but it's yeah. It's a trip, and there have been times I have been a little unnerved, for sure.
Well, I'm going to throw this out there. I mean, I'm not trying to bring politics into it, but politics does play a role into this, especially when I have things like this happen with guests, and they tell me stories that they've had. This happened to them with other shows also. In my opinion, when you have a president that is attacking our intelligence community and think they're full of shit, to me, it makes all the other worldwide game players go, "Oh, okay, then we can do what we want, and nobody's going to believe them."
And I think that's a really good point, and this is something that I think is incredibly important to stress. People don't understand the fact that this subject, especially social media, is being targeted and it is being manipulated, and I don't know who by. I'm sure it's by different factions, different countries, but most recently, there is a YouTube host that's appeared out of nowhere. Can't verify her background. She has a fake name, and she has a very serious agenda, and that is not an agenda that I care to support. And people are getting sucked up into these figures, and they're not asking the critical questions. Who are you? Where did you come from? How can we verify you as a person? Why are you hiding behind a pseudonym? And, what's the agenda? People just assume because this show host has how many hits on YouTube that they're credible. And I have been absolutely stupefied that people that should know better are appearing on this person's show. In the past couple of days, well, actually more than that, I've been doing some digging about this person, and have found some really important people in the field have been telling me that there's been a person very similar who's coming into different communities, different closed-knit communities in social media, saying that this person's a writer and they're trying to gather information, and they're pretty much getting in there and clearing out the data, and then they also want to discredit the subject. And so people have to understand that we are being manipulated, and you can't trust. You need to ask if somebody's presenting this image. Who are you? Where did you come from? When this person, her name is Chant Hannah, first tried to pull me into her little world. I was tagged in a post that she put out there about women and, rah, let's go women, and I support women in the field. And I thought, okay, who are you? And why are you posting me in this? Because, I was in a Newsweek story about sexual harassment in the field, and you're not mentioning that, but the whole thing raised a lot of red flags, and I could tell this was a ploy for her to pull in women to have people in the community say, look at that, she's so cool. And then I asked her specifically when I accepted her friend request, who are you? Where do you come from? And she wouldn't give me a location. She wouldn't tell me anything about herself. And I thought, okay, well, you are so on my list, and I've watched and seen some of the things that she has done and some of the posts that she's made. And there was, specifically, there was a woman, Karen King, who was very active in the community. And she, even though I had personal disagreements with her, she had a big heart, and she had a lot of people that loved her very dearly. And she passed away a month ago in a head-on car collision, which was very traumatic for people, very horrible and sad. And on her Facebook page, her brother had gotten in there and just had said, just expressing, I thank you for your support, and she is alive and well, and this is somebody in mourning saying that her spirit is living on. And this person got in there and said, what do you mean? What are you saying? She's alive? You're confusing the community. And there were probably 20 posts, and I just was reading this going, what? And so to me, all of these little things are adding up, and, red flag. And so I've been talking to different researchers, and we've been putting some things together. And, like I said, we need to be aware. We need to make sure that we're not just going for the biggest hits on YouTube, that we're trusting people, that we know where they're coming from. And we need to hold our personal information we need to hold it close to the vest, because you can be sure that there are different, probably governments, different factions that are getting in there, and they're sweeping up data on social media. And it's, it's pretty critical time.
Oh, I agree. It's kind of spooky. Well,
it is.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely. No, I was going to say it is, and I think, thank you for bringing up that point. We are living in a very different time, and people's mentalities and the way they behave and different things, and the fact that we're seeing such a huge deliberate faction to sway us on social media and to instill fear and to try to, cause a lot of civil unrest and things. I mean, this has taken deep root and has for a long, long time in the UFO community. And I like I said, people need to be aware. This is serious.
Oh, it is very serious. No matter what part of the country you're living in, I know where I'm at. It's red, and I'm quite blue. So I catch a lot of hell on social media, especially I can post something and it's my opinion, just like if your Facebook page, you post something that's your opinion, that's your thoughts, your feelings, or whatever. Okay, and some people like it, some people may not like it, some may just scroll through and go on. But with me, if I post something that I feel is true and something I believe in, I will catch immortal hell around here. And so I've backed off for the past, 4, 5, 6 months on posting anything that I feel politically. And it stopped the hate. But the sad thing is, I feel like they're stopping me from actually voicing my opinion. And I'm a very opinionated person. But I was getting threatening, messages, let me catch you out and I'll do this and I'll do that. And I'm like, I'm a big old boy and I might be blue, but I carry a gun just as good as you red folks do.
Well, and I will say, and this has been a fascinating thing for me. I've been very fortunate that I have been archiving, and I have one of the best archives. It's growing every day. People are sending me things with, a public. I've got one of the biggest periodical collections from 47 on in the country, and it has been really interesting to look back and to see some of these UFO magazines that have, since 47, that have very deliberate and really strange things and religious, factions that are promoting things. And I found that there are links to the Nazi sympathizers. And then you look at the contactee movement back, Adamski, some of these people who were being watched by the FBI, and they're promoting, contact with the tall, blonde, blue-eyed beings, and now we're seeing that again with the secret space program and the blue avians. And interestingly enough, the blue avians are holding up their hands like Heil Hitler, and I will never forget. I was speaking at a conference, and this just gave me the chills. I was speaking at a conference, and there was a new person there that is really hot in the community. He's a YouTuber who, again, came out of nowhere. And I'm sitting back there with other people that were lecturing. And in this person's lecture, he starts going off, and he's got this beautiful PowerPoint. And in the PowerPoint, all of the slides are black and white. But then there was one thing that was in color, and that was the Nazi symbol. And then there was a beautiful photo of Adolf Hitler with a quote. And then there is talk by this person about, the New World Order and the Nazis and Antarctica. And I sat back there. I just grabbed the leg of another researcher, and we were both so physically ill, and I had to get up and leave. And I just thought, holy crap, nobody is getting this. That this subject is being manipulated. What in the crap does this have to do, with any of this? This research shouldn't be about political ideology, and it has been, and it's been manipulated for a long time, and that's to me very disturbing. And I don't know. That was one of those moments where you just sit there and you go, oh my God, this is really happening. And people aren't making the connections. They're not seeing that the tall space brothers are blonde-haired, blue-eyed Nordics, and they're the good beings, the perfect race, the perfect beings. And then the gray uglies, aren't. And so, come on, people, let's wake up and look at the fact that this is not all it's cracked up to be, and it is definitely manipulated.
It is very manipulated, and I agree with you. With me, I feel like I'm going to pull my hair out with these people, because you're like, seriously, you don't see this? You think this is okay? There was 18 million people that died during World War II, and you all still go around here Heil Hitler and white supremacy and think whites are better than anybody else. What is wrong with you people? We've come so far, but yet it seems like we're going back, way back.
Well, we are, and I like I said, for me to have this archive and to see that all of this has been manipulated by religious zealots, people, and this is really an interesting story. If you know about NICAP and how important that organization was, Gordon Lohr, who he was working for NICAP back in the 60s. I'm writing a book with him. He's written several books. He's been on my radio show, and he wrote Flying Saucers from Beyond the Earth, a UFO Researcher's Odyssey. But he was talking about the fact that NICAP, back in the early 70s, they sold their email list to a Nazi sympathizer group up in Canada.
Wow.
You know, a really important UFO organization. And it was like, wow. And nobody's catching on to this. Nobody's saying anything. And I mean, I don't know. Like I said, we deserve better than this, and we have to learn how to separate the actual, you know, what's taking place, the actual information, and we need to empower people. And one thing that has been an interesting odyssey for me is to have had a lifetime full of experiences, and then to get into this community and see how my perceptions of my own experiences have been tainted by some of these nut jobs and people that are promoting things, you know. And I've been, you know, just disempowered. I've felt like, oh my God. And then I stepped back and I realized, nope, you're not going to tell me what my sighting meant to me. You're not going to tell me that this is an invasion, or you know, or something other than what I experienced, which was a really profound, life-changing thing. And so you know, everybody, if you've had sightings, step back and don't look to anybody but yourself for answers. It's really, really important.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, I got a Facebook message from Cyrus, and he wants to know, what made you gravitate from interest in UFOs to include parapsychology and research into the supernatural?
And that's a great question. I actually, it was the other way around, and but granted, I remember, in fact, I found some drawings. My grandmother kept all of my grade school drawings, and I found drawings that I did in second and third grade of aliens and spaceships, which is, you know, not exactly, you know, kids are usually drawing flowers and unicorns and things like that. And here I am drawing aliens, but that's the way I roll, so I shouldn't be too surprised. But I had an interest in all of this from a very young age, and so I would read, you know, books on Bigfoot. I would read books on a Loch Ness Monster, on ghosts and different things. I just was so fascinated by the unknown. And in my late teens and then early 20s, actually all through my 20s, I lived in a house that was very haunted. It was on TV. Actually, the news came out and did a 2-day special on the house, and that in and of itself was a really fascinating story. And so I've always had things happen around me, and I've been really lucky that I've had a lot of witnesses around me for that, and it has been fascinating. And so as I learned about parapsychology and all of these things, I quickly realized that it all intersects, it all bleeds together. And if you're having UFO sightings, you're seeing shadow figures, you know, you're having electronic disturbances, all of these things are somehow connected, and people that are more prone to having a ghost sighting usually have other types of sightings as well. So I've gravitated towards all of it. It's a trip.
Cool. Let's see here. Make sure I get this right. Okay. Listener wants to know, what are some of the best reported cases of UFO activity in America and Europe that you have studied?
Oh boy. Well, I'm a big fan of Skinwalker Ranch in that whole area, and now, you know, we saw when Robert Bigelow owned that back in the day, a lot of activity that has now come out. George Knapp and Colm Kelleher did a great book, Hunt for the Skinwalker, that is legendary. I think that whole area, what Dr. Frank Salisbury did with regard to sightings there. I mean, there were sightings back in the 60s that were mentioned where kids were traveling to school during the day, and there were reports, all the children and the bus driver, they were seeing a large craft land on the road in front of them, and beings get out of the craft. I mean, wow. And so, I mean, the Uinta Basin has always been a hot spot. And then I have looked at the Yakima Indian Reservation, and I found a fellow by the name of Greg Long, who has done incredible research and had, I believe, around 700 sightings on the Yakima Indian Reservation that were very similar to the same types of sightings that were taking place at Skinwalker Ranch and are taking place. And so I think that has been absolutely fascinating. Families that have been affected by paranormal phenomena, that have had, orbs in their homes, that have had strange creatures. I mean, all of these things, I love those, and I gravitate towards those. As far as like big cases, I think, and I want to just throw this in here because I've got to just get this off my chest, but I think we want to go towards the big case that is the mother lode. And what I've seen in this field has really been disheartening, because you look at Rendlesham, that is so tainted and dysfunctional now, and you look at Roswell and all these cases, and there isn't one case that is going to make or break this subject. It's all the little cases that take place. And Examining the Earth-Light Theory, if you can get that book, that is freaking off the charts. That's about the Yakima Indian Reservation, and you'll hear tales that are just from the fire lookouts that are amazing. Like I said, the Utah UFO display, get that book. That is another one of those things that is important. And look at Piedmont, Missouri. Look at what Dr. Harley Rutledge did a really great, one of the first scientific studies back in the 70s with regard to all of this back in Missouri. And so, I mean, it's so cool. So I like to look at all the little stories.
Good point. The listener wants to know what has been your strangest or weirdest case, as far as your UFO cases, that has been just too amazing or funny to believe.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. The funniest. I don't know. I think the freaking I'm eating mutilated cattle thing is a good one.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
I don't know. I can't think of something that tops that one. But I don't know. I went over to Norway a couple years ago, and I was really fortunate that I got to spend 2 weeks with Erling Strand, Professor Erling Strand from Oxford University College. And I mentioned at the beginning of the show that he's one of, I think, the most important men in the world, and we need to really look to Norway to set standards for what we should be doing in the United States. But I spent time with him and heard from, he took me to meet a couple people that were involved in a really cool documentary about the Heston light phenomenon. And you can find that on YouTube. But I met with this fellow in his 80s, and I sat there in this little village with a man that is the salt of the earth, and Erling Strand was translating for me, and this man was telling me how his whole life, both he and his sister and the whole Heston Valley had seen these objects and had been affected by them, and they had seen, there were reports of strange creatures, and there were reports of scoop marks. I mean, whole sections of the ground that had been cut out like a cookie cutter, and all of the soil had been displaced, roots intact and set, a few hundred feet away from the initial place where the soil had been taken. And I mean, it's just to hear him, and I've got the transcript of that interview, and I have that on UFOClassified.com, and that's really amazing to hear him talk about his sightings and all of these things. And so to me, that was just such a highlight of everything. Just these people that are just trying to, look straight forward and put food on the table, and they're not thinking that their whole life will be turned upside down by all of these sightings, and then the press descending upon this village and people berating them and demeaning them. And I don't know, it's cool. So please go to UFO Classified and look at the story of John Arvid. It's really impressive.
Awesome. Well, is there any strong evidence of any UFO sightings in the past as far as cave art or even any ancient manuscripts?
Oh boy, I think you could look back and make a lot of connections. I did a field research study a couple years ago in southern Arizona at a Native American, beautiful Hohokam place where they had a sundial where all of the rocks on just miles were all cut at a diagonal, and all of the petroglyphs were very unusual, and you could look at this and say they were trying to represent something that was taking place in their environment that we would be seeing today. And I definitely felt, because this area is such a hotbed of activity, and people like Michael Persinger and Marcia Adams and Erling Strand and Dr. Massimo Teodoranti, who's an Italian astrophysicist, they'd all been there to do research, and we went there, and you just sit there, and a couple of things that we had happen there were just freaking mind-blowing. And so I look at this site, and my own belief is they knew that there was something there that deserved to be respected, and they had created a sacred space to make sure that that was contained or honored. And you look at different indigenous peoples all over the world, and I believe that they were able to observe things in the natural environment and understand that there was something intelligent about what they were seeing, and they respected it, and I think we could learn a lot from that. Again, that's a whole other area that I would love to really dig into and study, but I do believe we've been observing the same types of things since the beginning of recorded history, and I believe that we could learn a lot from respecting what is going on in our natural environment, and perhaps learning how to slow down and maybe intuitively interacting with what's going on. So I don't know. I love that. It's fascinating. That's a great question. Thank you.
Another listener wants to know, does the Bible mention ETs in it?
Oh boy, there are.
I do live in a Bible Belt. Sorry.
Well, no, you know what? I mean, and that's important. I'm Christian. I absolutely. You can look back and say that what people were witnessing again is very similar to what we are seeing now, and perhaps we have different versions of what this is. Are they angels? Are they demons? Are they extraterrestrials? Are they ghosts? Nobody knows what it is, but Joseph Smith, I'm living here in Utah, and Joseph Smith had a series of sightings of glowing beings and of spheres of light and things, and you could say, yes, he was having some sort of ET visitation or something that is the same thing that we see going on. I think we need to look at the bigger picture and for me, I also think it's important, especially right now, because I think there are people that want to say that these are angels or demons, and I don't think we know that. But it's definitely it's fascinating, and if anybody has any input on, that for me, I keep trying to read the Bible. I keep going back and I try to get little bits and pieces out, and then study the LDS faith here, and it's a never-ending. There's so much to study, so many different areas to focus on.
Well, I got another religious question for you. It says, what would be the religious ramifications if your research could prove of alien life and that reported UFO sightings are real?
I suppose that depends on how you view things, and I think we've always had control systems. I think religion a lot of times is a control system. I think that people are frightened of things they can't explain, and when you've been explaining things in a certain way for centuries, it's hard to come up with something new, and that might really blow people's minds. People think that would cause mass chaos. I think that it, to me, makes God even more magnificent. And I will say that for me personally, I have a very strong belief in God, of something more intelligent there that has played an important part in my life, absolutely. And so I don't know. I like to think that we could handle that, but who knows? Then again, with the way the world's going, I don't know. I might just hide in the closet with maybe, I don't know, a couple margaritas and call it good.
There you go. That's right. That's what I always say. If I knew the world's going to come to an end, I'm going to go up on top of the mountain, take me a big old gallon of moonshine, kick back, and just enjoy the view.
Might as well.
Might as well. I mean, my gosh, we can't do nothing about it. I know it's kind of crazy, but I know everybody, people that know me are like, yeah, he'd do it. Listener wants to know, could you explain SETI and the purpose of SETI?
Oh, search for extraterrestrial intelligence. You know what? That's we all have different ways at looking for things, and that has never been something that I have really dug into. It's not my bag, but yeah. I don't know. I could look it up and tell you about it, but like I said, I believe, for me, instead of looking out there, that I'm looking right in front of me. But searching for extraterrestrials and different signatures and signals, I mean, that's important as well. I mentioned Dr. Massimo Teodorani, who is an Italian astrophysicist, and he works for SETI over there and has done some really great work. But that's not my thing. I'm sorry.
It's not her bag, people. It's not her bag.
No, clearly. That was a foul, but hey, I like to pretend like I know everything, and I don't know.
Yeah. See, that's what makes you a good politician, when someone asks you something that you don't know or you don't want to know. Just give them something else to bite on. Yeah. Oh
God, it's so hard, but we definitely see that in the field, where people go off on their little tangents and they're not necessarily giving out good information, but that's another story. Just had to throw that in because those little things make me feel better about life. I don't need therapy. It's good.
That was a good one. I like that. That's a good one. Okay, let me see. Researcher. The listener wants to know, has any researchers or even you found any Martian fossils anywhere in the world?
Well, no. Okay. I mean, but then again, that's not my. That is not my thing, because I'm not looking up there. Even a lot of people are.
I didn't mean to say we were
No. I will say that this is the cool thing about this subject. There are so many areas to study, and I wish that I could know everything about everything. But my area of focus is anomalous light phenomena, and then different areas that seem to have recurrent things happening and stuff. But those are great questions. And honestly, I would love to hear from anybody, because clearly people have areas of interest, and if there's insight, I would love to hear about that from the person asking the question.
Sounds good. Next question: if you could meet with an alien, what would be the first question you would ask it if it could communicate with you?
Wow, gosh.
Not my bag, baby. Not my bag.
No, it's not my bag. Well, you know what? I mean, honestly, I've had experience. Let me tell you a story that I might answer that, or just give you a little bit of insight. But I was over in Norway, and I was with Erling Strand, and there's a couple times a year when they take out students from the engineering college, and they send the students up to the tops of mountains, and they're collecting data. I mean, we're talking the harshest of conditions. And Erling took me out during science camp, and every night we would go to the same location where they would experience and see, structured craft, anomalous light phenomena, all of this stuff. And it would just be the two of us. And one of the nights we were there, I heard people talking, and they were right next to us, and we are out in the middle of nowhere. There was nobody there. It was Erling and myself, and I asked him, okay, did you hear that there was a conversation, two male voices right beside us? And he said, no, I didn't hear that. I'm a little hard of hearing. And the next night, really great archivist researcher over there, Thomas Dahl, was with us, and it was the three of us, and Thomas and I both heard two male voices right next to us. And we're like, okay, wow, this is crazy. And so you put things through the paces, how far can sound travel, what's going on here and there. And so I made up my mind that I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I don't really know the terrain that well, but I'm going to get my stuff strapped on my back, and I'm going to walk out into the middle of nowhere in the pitch black and just bring it on. I'm here. Here you go. And so I sat there, and I walked a fair distance away from both of them. And I could tell you the feeling in the air was just electric. And I turned on my cell phone camera, and I just sat there, or I stood there, and the wind was whipping. And after a few minutes, I just said, "Where are you?" And when I played the tape back, there was a voice on it saying, "Right here."
Ooh.
And so those were the words that I said, and that was the response that I got. And it was stunning.
Kind of makes you pucker up a little bit, don't it?
It was. I listened to the tape, back, and I just was like, holy crap. And it was the whole thing was so unusual, because we'd had 2 nights of hearing voices right next to us, and these are the same types of reports that you get in different locations, like Yakima, like I was mentioning, like Skinwalker Ranch and the surrounding areas. You'll have stuff like this, but to have that immediate call and response was absolutely unreal. And so that's what I said to whatever it was, and it answered.
Wow. Could it have been paranormal?
Absolutely. yeah, I don't know what it was. I can't say it's extraterrestrial because again, I don't know that. I almost wonder sometimes if there isn't something that is just is a part of our natural environment that is living here among us, and some people have the capacity to see it and communicate with it, and some people don't. And so I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I think it could be a combination of everything. But I will tell you the different experiences that I've had just like that in my life, where there has been, me saying, show me, show me what you got, and having an immediate response like that. It's been absolutely startling and humbling. And to me, it has just furthered my reverence for the subject and my feeling that we need to understand that there's something that's going on around us, and I don't necessarily think it is conquering and taking over and colonizing Earth. I think it is something that we should respect, something that has been interacting with us, like I said, since the beginning of recorded history, and we should be humbled and perhaps respectful and just I don't know, enjoy the ride. Maybe that's the wrong answer. Maybe we should weaponize and be scared out of our minds, but I don't know. I've had some pretty incredible experiences.
Well, see, that's one thing when I speak to people about the paranormal. I have a different outlook on it than most of these groups. A lot of them think it's spiritual or soul or something. Me, on the other hand, I think it could be something, a parallel universe, some type of dimension, something that we're interacting with, and it's interacting with us. And, when I go that route with some of these people, they're sitting there looking at me going, what? I know I lose them, and they can't believe it. That's coming out of my mouth, Are you sure you're from Virginia, boy? But I really do believe that with the UFO phenomenon, the crypto, and the paranormal, I think I think everybody's looking at it through one lens, but I think it's a multi layers of lenses.
Absolutely, and I think we're so powerful as human beings. We can manipulate things. We can hold a thought, in our mind, and we can create that reality. I mean, I've seen that happen, and we are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit. And I truly think that great. I've had some interesting things that I could say are religious experiences or times in my life where something greater than me has stepped in and intervened. And it's been, like I said, very humbling. But I think that we have the ability to dictate whatever in the heck this is that's interacting with us. And that's why, I stressed earlier on that don't ever turn to anybody else to tell you what you experienced. Just go back to that first initial response, or just be empowered. Don't be frightened, and enjoy the ride, and journal and learn, and like I said, just we are in a time where people want to control us. I think we've always, there have always been factions that want to control the general population, and part of the UFO issue is a control narrative. But we have the capacity, like I said, just to hold our encounters and our experiences close to our hearts and make that whatever we choose to make it. And that's very empowering.
Yes, it is. Well, I got one listener that wants to know, what are your biggest regrets within your UFO research career?
Oh,
not drinking on the job. We ain't talking about that.
My biggest regrets. I I think my biggest regrets are not standing up for myself sooner. And like I said, when I was first involved with MUFON, I was really starry-eyed and wanting to do the best, and I didn't realize that a handful of people involved in this were absolutely some of the most baseless, unethical human beings I've ever seen in my life. And had I known that was the case, I would have asserted myself much sooner, and I would have exposed their corruption much sooner. But the way it had to roll, and it's taken a long time, and their gig is up, and they're being exposed. And so, I mean, that's my biggest regret. And I'd like to say another regret is having faith in Jan Harzan, having faith and thinking the leadership of Roger Marsh, the communications director, that they had any ethical or moral compass. They don't. And so those are some of the biggest regrets I have, trusting and putting faith in people that don't have integrity.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I'm going through that right now myself. But it'll pass. It always passes.
Well, tell me about your experiences. I feel if you're having, obviously we're going through the same thing, and I'm sorry to hear that. Let me be your therapist for a moment.
Okay. Let me kick back here. In my group, we're a tight bunch of people. We have get-togethers other than just doing investigations. They come to my house. My door is always open. Everything, anything that they need, or they can call me 3 o'clock in the morning. Rod, I need you for this or that, and I'll come. And just recently, one that was in the group said that she kept saying, you're my best friend. You're my best friend. Actually, she was the co-host of this show. And we went on an investigation, and everybody's grumpy. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. And I have a kind of warped sense of humor, When I pulled up, I told her to get, I was saying it in a joking way, but the girl kind of took it wrong. But I apologized to her after I found out she was upset. But the other girl, supposedly my best friend, got so upset that she just deleted me, blocked me, and everything from Facebook, and won't talk to me, wouldn't talk to me. And, everybody in the group's like, what is going on? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't find out. Nobody's going to talk to me. But apparently she talked to one of them and said I upset her because of the fact of what I said to the other lady in the group. And I'm like, but it wasn't even towards what? So she got upset because I said something to someone else and decided she's done. Erase our supposed friendship and everything just like that. If it's that easy, then, I was manipulated. I feel like I was manipulated. I feel like, my trust, was took advantage of. And, it hurts. It makes me mad. But I'll move on. I have no choice. I have other people in my group that are dependent on me, and I depend on them to keep doing what we're doing and keep our friendship solid. Whether you want to be a part of it or not, I don't care. But it still hurts your feelings, a little bit.
I know that's hard. I've had people that I, have worked with that I've cared very deeply about, and you have a bond, and it always, it's disheartening, but here's a little, maybe a bit of hope or something that will maybe ease your mind. But I have heard from several researchers who are, again, the best in the world, that have been in places and done a lot of field research with very tight-knit groups of people, and all of them have said that whatever this is that we're interacting with will get in and have kind of an insidious nature and almost bring up things and people, and so you have to really step back and say, whoa, okay, is this just a personality defect, or maybe is there some sort of level of interference there? And I thought that was a very interesting thing.
Well, that is very interesting, because I've had this happen within my, I've had my group for 11 years, and this has happened like 4 or 5 times that, and it can be different. Mostly it's been female, but I've had a couple males that I don't think the world of them, do anything in the world for them, and then all of a sudden, bam, just done, with no explanation, no nothing. And I'm not used to that. Everybody around here in our community, in our area, if they got a problem with you, most of the time they'll tell you. 99%, hey, you said this or you did this and I did not like it. At least it gives you a chance to either defend yourself or, realize you made a mistake and apologize for it and then move on. But it's happened to me a good 4 or 5 times. I guess I'm just an asshole. Let's just put it out there.
Oh,
that's what I am.
I think you're a lovely person, and I think sometimes this type of stuff doesn't bring out the best character traits in people, and so stuff happens, and I don't know. I'm sorry, though, that it's hard to have friendships and then have stuff like that happen, especially when, a lot of times you're in these situations and you're kind of emotionally vulnerable. You're experiencing things, you don't know how to process them, and so I think there's a lot of stuff going on. But I'm sorry, I think you're a really nice guy.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm a nice guy too. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I'm very protective of family and friends. I really am. We had one incident with having an investigation. Some strange guy, I'd never seen it before, started going toe to toe with me, and I'm like, boy, I'll knock you back. You back it up. And we had a big argument, and I finally kicked him out of the house. But these people mean the world to me, and it's just like all the friends I've met and people I've spoke to on the show. I'm very protective over them. If they needed something, I'd be right there for them the best I could. And when people let you down, or it kind of, to me, it's a good kick in the huevos, And I don't know why. I take it really personal when I shouldn't.
But I think for me, I do too, and that was the biggest shock to my system, was to see, and especially with MUFON, and especially this group of people, this handful of people that are really, using mob-style tactics to discredit and bully and intimidate people. I was heartbroken, and I think I was, like I said, I was so heartbroken about the fact that Jan Harzan and Roger Marsh were in on it, and that I turned to people in MUFON that I held in high regard. I turned to them for help when I was being stalked and when my life was being threatened, when my family was being threatened, and nobody helped me. And in fact, this is an interesting story that I wanted to tell you, because this is very personal to me. When I first got involved in MUFON, I was Ruben Uriarte introduced me to a fellow who was doing a radio show in LA, and and nobody realizes how a lot of these radio show hosts like to completely lie about how many listeners they have, just so they can stay relevant and stay on the air and things like this. And so this person approached us, and we were going on the show and talking about MUFON and rah, all this stuff. And soon this fellow began to have an obsession with me, and I went to a conference with a friend of mine, thank God, who was a cameraman, that I was doing a show, an interview with this host, and it was on behalf of MUFON. I was there representing MUFON, and it became apparent to me that because I wasn't responding the way I should have, that I was in my life I was very frightened, and this man began threatening me. He started sending out really irrational messages to everybody that I knew, and he still does to this day. Years later, he will find people that I associate with. He's gone to different conferences all over the country threatening to kill me. He has gone on his radio show mentioning my family by name. And at the time, I didn't know what to do, and so I tried to get a restraining order. I spent a lot of money trying to seek legal representation. I didn't know what to do. I turned to Jan and Roger Marsh, and I just said, I'm not asking you to do anything, but I need you to know that this is what's happening. My life is in danger, and I'm scared out of my mind. And this person sent a really irrational, well, Erica didn't respond to my, advances, blah, 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 to Jan Harzen. And Jan replied, it's not my problem. That's between you and her.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, I read that, and I was like, holy I'm representing MUFON. I'm a state director. I'm working right under you, Jan Harzan, and I've got a person who is threatening my life. And I'm coming to you, and that's the best you could do. And not only that, but when this started happening, Race Hobbs from KGRA Radio and Chase Kletsky got wind of this, and they started using what this delusional, psychotic man was saying to discredit me. And the whole process was so painful. And I began, because I didn't know what else to do, I started doing a background check on this person, and I interviewed people that he'd formerly worked with that all had the same types of experiences, not to the degree that I had, because he was obsessed with me and still is. I still get emails from him. But it was frightening, and during that time frame, I turned to several state directors that I will not name, but they know who they are, and I said, hey guys, if this person contacts you, I need you to tell me. I'm afraid for my life. When I go to conferences, I am always cognizant of my security. But it really took me aback, and to see that, like I said, that leaders in this organization didn't support people, especially when they were receiving very valid threats, to see that people like Chase Kletsky and Race Hobbs were using this information to try to tarnish my reputation and to hurt me, like some sort of mob. That was really disturbing. And then also to see, after everything that happened, Roger Marsh's written response discrediting me and the work that I'd done for MUFON. And, all of these things I have a lot of substantial paperwork for, including different people, my friends, Ruben Uriarte, people that wrote letters to Jan Harzan saying, Erica is in danger, is psychotic, and you need to know this. Nothing.
Wow.
And so, I have some pretty deep scars from trying to get involved in this, and nobody ever should have to go what I went through. And when I get riled up and stand up there and I see what Chase has done, what Race has done to bully and intimidate people, and there's ample evidence of that, and more people are coming forward, I feel very I feel like it's my mission that that was so painful for me, and I see how this has affected other people, and I don't want this to ever happen. Nobody needs to go through this. We should be seeking the truth, and we should be working together. And that's my experience. I could there's so many other stories there, but this like I said, that was a really painful time for me. So.
Well, if you need me to fly to Utah, just let me know. I don't care.
Oh, trust me.
I'll come up there and whip somebody's ass and fly back. No big deal.
You are a gun-carrying Democrat. You come out here and join me.
That's right. I'm a gun-carrying Democrat. You got that shit right. Damn. I'll be nice to them, too. I'll put a cap in their ass. Oh, excuse me. Boom. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have never been a gun person, and I've had some experiences, and I'm very conscious of stuff like that now, and I thought about getting a handgun, and that's unfortunate that you need to live like that, but man,
I'm not a gun
people.
See, there's a lot of people I know, I mean, come on. You go to McDonald's and you got to have an AK-47. Oh, come on. What? Or AR-15? Really? To eat a Big Mac? What is your problem? What are you scared of? But in your case, I can understand you packing, maybe a little 380 or something in your pocketbook, and somebody starts running their mouth and be like, hey, you see this little shiny thing? I pulled the trigger and you go, owie.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been very conscious of things like that. And when I go speak at conferences, I make sure I've got people around me to survey the scenery and make sure I'm protected, because it has been incredibly unnerving. And I think and especially when people get called out on their behavior and get their back against a wall, they can do some pretty interesting things. So the next few weeks will be very interesting to watch as people become more and more vulnerable and exposed for lies and for behavior that is very questionable. So let the good times roll, man.
That's right. Oh, well, I wish you luck. And like I said, I'm serious. You need anything. Utah, I've been to Utah before. Don't have a problem going again.
Well, thank you. I would love to have you out here, because we have got, Utah is one of the most, not only the most stunning places on the planet, but we have things going on that are mind-blowing. And I've been doing a lot of research in the Utah Lake area, and there was a really cool Blue Book case, the Waldo Harris case, a pilot that saw an object. People at the airport saw an object. There were witnesses, Waldo Harris and 7 of the witnesses that were interviewed by Hill Air Force Police, and I've got all of those audios thanks to Barry Greenwood, and that was a really cool case. But I've been also documenting people that have had sightings that have never been heard. None of these sightings have gone out, and I'll be presenting those in upcoming lectures, and I look forward to doing that. It's cool. Utah's a cool place.
It is. It's beautiful out there. You're right.
Come out and visit me.
I will. I'll come by and say hi. Knock on your door and freak you out. Next thing you know, you'll have a gun then. I'll be like, oh, it's Rod. Don't shoot me.
Well, you have to have a secret code knock, so you're not completely throwing me off my game. But
well, I can't do the barbershop. Well, you can't do that. Everybody does that damn thing. Yeah, it have to be like.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because you'd be like, okay, I know. Hell, everybody knows that one. You got to be.
Well, we're working that kind of on the down low. So
that's
when
right.
you come, I'll know it's you.
That's right. Nobody don't need to know that. Okay, before you jump off here, I meant to talk a little bit more about this, but I know you're an amazing singer and artist, and you also performed at the 2002 Olympics. I know I kind of put all that in there, but just talk about that. Tell me your thoughts about that.
So, I mean, I've had so many lifetimes. I love life, and from the time I was 16 on, I started studying classical voice at the University of Utah, and was in the University of Utah choirs. We traveled to Europe and Asia. That was amazing. And then I started doing the band thing when I was 18, and so I was in a great reggae and blues band that toured in the area. We did, we have 3 CDs, and in that band there were 3 other musicians, and we broke off and formed a jazz and blues band. And so both of these bands played at the 2002 Olympics, and it was so freaking cold. We were out there obviously in the middle of the winter, and let me tell you, when you're singing and there's really no heat on stage and you're trying to use, your vocal cords, that was a trip, but it was nerve-wracking, but we did it twice, and it was a great experience. I love singing, and I've worked with some talented musicians, and I've written songs and that have been played on different radio stations, and it's just been it's a part of me. And when I quit singing and kind of became more introverted, I started painting. And my father is a world-renowned artist, a realist, and has won awards all over the place. And one of his paintings was in the White House, and so he began to mentor me. But he's a little more detail-oriented than I am, and so I'm just like, okay, I'm out of here. But I mean, I've always had, that was an important part of me, to be artistic and to be expressive. And when I'm not honoring that part of me, I get really grumpy. So it's been fun. So.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of your work that you post online, and I love it. With me, I like to do art too. I've been drawing and painting and stuff ever since I was a kid. And for me, I have to feel it. I just can't pick up a brush or a pencil or pen and just do it. I got to be in the mood, and sometimes that mood can take months or even years before I feel it. And then when I feel it, I just bam, 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 just put out all kinds of stuff and then stop.
Isn't that interesting, the creative process? And, for me, when I started having sightings, UFO sightings, in 2013, that's when I picked up my first paintbrush, and that's when I just was a crazed animal, and I started painting clouds, landscape, clouds, sea, clouds. And I will say that painting clouds is a really hard thing, and I have mastered some pretty good clouds, but that was I look back at my artwork now and how much that represented what I was going through emotionally with the whole process of, okay, what am I seeing, and things. It was just been really cool. But I think everybody has a talent, and it's fun to open your mind and to kind of turn off all the noise and just let it go. Maybe some people shouldn't do it in public, but kidding.
That's a good one.
Maybe some art is best seen in the closet with the lights out, but hey, we all have our gifts.
Or under the blanket with a little flashlight. Ooh, look at that one, brother. Ooh.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Got in trouble for that when I was a kid. No, I'm serious. I did get in trouble. Well, Erica, it has been an honor and pleasure. I could talk to you all night, but I'm almost out of time, and I have to get you back on the show sometime. 2 years.
I love it.
And now, seriously, if you want to come out here for the Fan Fest, I'll send you information so if you want to come.
Oh, that would be so much fun. I'd love to come out and meet you and meet everybody in the area. And like I said, it really means a lot to me to have people care about what I'm doing and have questions and want to support my work. I'm humbled, and this is the reason that I'm here, and I can weed my way through all of the peril of the UFO community, because it's just too important, and there are wonderful people out there, and we deserve answers. We deserve to be held in the highest regard, and I think that I know we can do this together. So thank you for having me on. I love it. You're awesome.
Well, thank you. You're awesome too, and like I said, it's an honor, and I'll work it out and send you the information, and you will be treated like Prince Diana. So be prepared for that if you do come.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even know what to do because I might have to roll with it for a minute. That could be kind of fun.
I'll be like, okay, everybody get out of the way. She'll be like, no, let them come. Let my people come.
It's always strange, to go into situations like that because I don't have that. I'm not one of those people that would walk in and the diva's here, everybody bow. It's like we're all in this together, and I freaking love it. So, but I would love to come back and see you. So thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you're very welcome. Real quick, do you have a website or anywhere people can go if they got any concerns, questions, comments, or anything like that?
Yes, UFOClassified.com, and then you can find me on Facebook at UFO Classified as well. And every Friday night on KCOR, I do a radio show. And last week, I did a radio show with Dr. Eric Davis, and who worked with Bigelow, and then also the owner or the caretaker of Skinwalker Ranch. They've never done an interview. This person has not done this. It was a very special moment for me, and so you can go back and listen to my archives. I have a friend out there who is a big supporter of the show, who puts them up on YouTube. I love him very much, and I'll talk about him tomorrow night. But just, go listen to the shows. There's some really groundbreaking interviews on there, and if people know my interviewing style, there's never a time, a period when I'm not inviting a guest on for a very specific reason. So listen to the show and send me messages, and that's awesome.
Okay. Well, Erica, again, it was an honor and a pleasure, and thank you so much for coming on. It was great. It was great. I always love shows like this.
I know, it's fun. I love talking to people, and you are a wonderful host and stuff. And I will have to get you on my show sometime, and then I will talk about all of your experiences, and maybe we can get some people to call in, and it will be really cool. So let's plan it.
And then I can say, not my bag, baby.
Please do take the heat off me for a minute. That'd be good.
Okay. Well, you have a good night. I thank you so much.
You too. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Hey, you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Man, what a show. I always love speaking to Erica. She's great people. People in Utah are amazing. And I have nothing but respect for her and the job she's doing. But we'll get her back on. Don't y'all worry. Everybody's got tons of questions, and I didn't even get through probably half of them tonight. But I thank all the listeners that sent me in questions for tonight. And if anybody's got any questions for other shows, that I post up, I'm more than welcome to put them up for you or ask the guest. So our guest for next Thursday night, April 11th, will be author Cyrus Alderwood. I hope I said it right because I suck at pronouncing last names. So everybody, thank you. Have a good night. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. All that good stuff. Love you. Let me see, where's that damn thing at? There it is. That's it for us tonight. I want to thank everyone that took the time to listen in. I'd like to give a big shout out to the Vibe Radio Network and to Ryan for putting up with us. Also to all the first responders and our men and women in the armed services. Thank you for your service and the sacrifices that you and your families make every day to keep our great nation safe. Tune in next week to another exciting show starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone can go to our Facebook page Within the Chaos, and don't forget to like our page to see upcoming guests along with past shows, postings, or you can also go to my website at www.blackdiamondps.org or blogtalkradio.com/Vibe Radio Network. Also, we have a YouTube channel, so go to YouTube, look up Within the Chaos for past shows. Thanks again. Until next week, everyone have a safe weekend and have a good night. And love you all. Be careful out there.
I'm sorry. But I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world. Millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Phantom Fest 2019 is hosted and sponsored by Black Diamond Paranormal Society, Blog Talk Radio Within the Chaos, the Connor Sisters, Paranormal Party, and Elk Garden School Community Ministry. The Phantom Fest is geared for the like-minded and enthusiasts and researchers in the fields of the paranormal, UFOs, cryptozoology, comics, horror films, gamers, cosplay, metaphysical, spiritual, artists, authors, ancient civilizations, tattoo artists, unexplained mysteries, superheroes, FX horror artists, steampunk, costume contest, sci-fi and so much more. The fest offers a unique and interesting outlook on the abnormal. The Phantom Fest will be held on November 2, 2019 at the Russell County Conference Center 139, Highland Drive, Lebanon, Virginia. Starting at 10 a.m. and going to 6 p.m. Tickets are $7 per person, ages 0 to 6 are free. or tickets can be reduced to $5 per person with 2 non-perishable food items, to be donated to the Elk Garden School Community Ministry to help families during the Thanksgiving season. Any non-perishable food donations will be happily received. Also, we will have a free costume contest for all ages. Any businesses or persons interested in being a vendor, please be sure to submit your vendor application and include the vendor fee of $25 by October 20th, 2019. Feel free to find the Phantom Fest vendor application at our website, phantomfest.org. Guest speakers, returning this year, Bill and Chris Reap of Reap Investigations, paranormal investigators Tina Marie Williamson and Paul Dixon, giant researcher Heather Arnold. New to this year's Phantom Fest guest speakers, Dave Spinks, Ron Whitehead, Jake Fife, Chad Zumwalt and Whitney Benson. Special appearances by Cosplay Bridget Baker, Martial Arts Christian Yaya Thompson and Token Nihilist Cosplay. Many more to be announced. Find us on Facebook Phantom Fest, www.facebook.com/phantomfest. Our email, phantomfest1@yahoo.com. For more information, please contact Rodney Shortridge at 276-970-1456, Misty Connor at 540-597-7190. The $25 vendor fee includes a 6-foot table, 2 chairs, 2 free admission tickets and power, upon request. The $25 vendor fee is non-refundable. Vendor applicants will be notified within 3 days after payment has been processed for approval. Go to Facebook events at www.facebook.com/events/phantomfest.